Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America. And you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
We're talking about mental health in the holidays, and with us via Zoom is Dr. Anil Singh. Anil Singh. He is the Senior Vice President, Executive Medical Director, Population and Curated Health for Highmark Health. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
And we have Aimee Girod. She is the Vice President of Clinical Strategy and Performance for Highmark Health. Aimee, thank you so much for jumping on.
Great to be here. Thanks, Joel.
All righty. So we are talking about the holidays and maintaining your mental health well-being. And Dr. Singh, why don't we start with you? What is like the number one thing that presents, it never fails, right around Christmas time? You're getting ready for the big trip and you might have some fear and trepidation.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's fear. So, it's really the anxiety, right? The anxiety of what's to come, the unknown, the travel, the conversation, is the dinner right? All of those things all kind of create some level of stress and anxiety that people face during the holidays. I would also say that there's, emotions tied to sometimes loss, a loss of a parent around the holidays, or God forbid, a sibling or a child or a family member and someone friend, and you relate those things together. And then certainly some people feel very emotionally sad and put out because of that. And those holidays tend to be a reminder of some of those things. So it's not an uncommon problem for some people to have those types of feelings, especially around the holidays.
Do you feel that our society really kind of, ramps up the expectations to an unhealthy way? I want you both to weigh in on this. Maybe, Aimee, you start with that, and Dr. Singh, pick up on.
I mean, I'm sure, right? I mean, the advertisements start, everything's decorated already, like I think it was before Halloween this year, but right. Right. I mean, you don't even get to celebrate Halloween. But then on top of that, the best gift, all the things that, and already potentially some financial situation that you may be in, your kids coming home, they want the best thing. You want to do what's right for everyone. And then you're not probably eating well, sleeping well. So it exaggerates all of it, right? All those things that you might be doing normally, but then you add all of this and all that gets out of whack. So I think it's just the balancing of it all and trying to keep things realistic, both for yourself and for others, especially if you have kids.
Dr. Singh, what do you think?
Yeah, I personally, it's the lights, for me, because somehow all the lights in the neighborhood went up, and I'm like the only house that doesn't have it up there. So certainly that's a stressful thing.
And it doesn't help that
I didn't get the memo.
The Boy Scouts are shouting from, free Frosty, right?
Right.
That kind of thing.
I missed the memo that said we are putting lights up early this year.
Right.
So I'm certainly behind. But everything that Aimee said is absolutely true. I just think it's you're right, that the marketing starts, the advertisement starts, Black Friday's, going, don't forget, there's Thanksgiving, then right around the corner, there's the holidays and Christmas, and then you got New Year's. it is a very truncated time frame, to do all of those things in there. And then it doesn't help that the news is saying that's the busiest. It seems like it's every year. This is the busiest holiday travel of the year, right? And it's breaking all sorts of records. And I think all of those things, coupled with everything that Aimee said, the economy, the inflations, and the cost of everything, and expectations of everyone around, all of that can certainly lead to increased and undue stress.
But some people handle externals and are able to shrug it off. It's like, okay, maybe my turkey is inadequate, or I'm going to have a Charlie Brown tree this Christmas. But others, they take it to heart and they really grind on it and are really offended or really concerned that somehow there's a fear missing. I mean, all of these things. And I guess I'm just wondering, what are some action steps and some tools that you would recommend to fight this internalization of really unrealistic expectations?
Yeah, Aimee, I'll certainly leave some of that to you. I think there's a couple things, right? Like, part of it from my standpoint is being able to control what you can control, right? It is the ability to just do the best you can and be okay with that. Even if you burn the turkey, it's not literally the end of the world. It's okay. And I think it's just that semblance of, recognizing anybody's own limitations, the status that they're in at that moment in time. I think it's, going for a walk sometimes, even though it's cold, and just decompressing, or exercising, or, just doing something different out of the norm that can kind of take your mind off of all of that kind of coupling together. I think are just ways to combat some of that. It's easy for me to say, just shake it off and deal with it. But sometimes, part of it is how you were grown and how you grew up. If it was an expectation that you're supposed to be there at this time, and now you're married and mom wants you there, but then your in-laws want you there, how are you going to do both? All of those things really weigh on people. And, again, the kids are the same thing. By the time the kids start to grow up and have girlfriends and they want to come over, and all of those pushing and pulls together. And then I think also from the, the ability of like, hey, let's invite more people. So now you've got more stress, right? And I just think it's just a matter of how do you find the time for yourself, take a break, meditate, go for a walk, exercise, and find your own way of decompressing. I think that helps some people really kind of handle the holidays differently than some others. Aimee, I don't know what you think on your side.
Yeah, I think all of that, but also I think a little bit about relationships. And, spending time, like you mentioned, with family, that's not always fun. Let's just be honest. There could be stressful relationships. So I think making sure you also make time to spend time with people that make you feel good, that bring you joy. Because not all times it's fun. And I will tell you that thinking about the turkey when I was a kid, a teenager, I remember making mashed potatoes for with my grandmother, and they were too runny. And I never heard the end of it, just so you know, like my grandfather. But that caused me stress today about, are the mashed potatoes going to be too runny? Do not put too much milk in them. So I think that be kind to others too. Like if the turkey's dry, just scrape it off in the garbage. Don't let anyone know. I think it's our responsibility to each other to try to give people some slack and know that everyone's doing their best this time of year.
Yeah, there is definitely, unfortunately, there may be one or two toxic people around that Thanksgiving dinner table. And again, I know these are a lot of cliches, but honestly, especially like after an election like we've had, I mean, it just seems like we've ramped up the volume to 11 this year. And so, Aimee, I mean, is it okay to just be a civil, nice to see you, Uncle Sid, and leave it at that?
Yeah, I think that's probably what you should do. Definitely don't talk about politics this Christmas. That's for sure. I think this year more than any time. But yeah, I think that's good, right? I also think, though, that, there's actually some resources out on Highmark.com that's open to anyone. You don't have to be a Highmark member. And it talks about, if you just search for resources, there's mental health resources out there that tell you like how to talk to people. What should you be saying this time of year, right? Like giving you tips, because I think it's all of our responsibility to be kind to one another and really think about how our actions impact others. Now, listen, 90-year-old grandma, whoever, she's going to be 90-year-old grandma. She's 90. She can say whatever she wants. So I think you got to just, go in the back room and talk to someone really nice.
Yeah.
Don't worry about grandma. She's stuck in her ways. She's not going to be looking up resources to how to be kind to people. Not that all grandmas aren't wonderful, but you know what I'm saying.
Dr. Singh, I want you to weigh in the key off of what Aimee said. We do have some elderly folks, and we have more elderly folks, around the table or, at the Christmas party. And there's a special way to communicate with geriatrics. And I mean, sometimes they can't handle just the sound. I mean, their hearing is bad or their sight is bad. And it just is a lot of confusion and it agitates them. How about some pro tips for dealing with older folks around the holidays?
It's a great question, Joel. I mean, I think there's a couple things. One is the recognition, right?
Yeah.
Recognize that grandma can't hear well. And so having a conversation in a low voice or a low tone with somebody across the table might make her feel left out. So part of it is how do you make sure that you're speaking in such a way, maybe facing them so they can read your lips or repeat it if they ask and not get frustrated because they say, huh, or what did you say? I think it's really the recognition of the limitations that anybody has, irrespective of their age, and being open to, how do you be a little more inclusive in some of those conversations, and really, making sure that they're okay. I think that's just as simple as it gets.
Let's talk a little bit about these mental health outcomes that you're seeing through this new program through Highmark Health. It's called Mental Well-Being for Highmark members, and members have received remission of mental health symptoms 3 times faster than the national average, and then 4 out of 5 users engaged in mental health care for the first time in over the year. What exactly are the key points here when it comes to this mental well-being program?
Yeah, I think a couple things. Number one, I would start by saying, COVID and post-COVID really lifted the veil of the mental health crisis in the United States. And it was really just this national problem that's been going on for a long time. And I think a lot of the clinicians have recognized that it was a problem for the longest time. And I would say COVID really just kind of pulled the curtains open.
From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, East 5th, next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
And one of the problems around it is access, right? It is very difficult to find care. It is difficult. It takes a long time to get in, and sometimes there's stigma associated with it. So how do you begin to combat all of that?
Let me ask you one question, because again, I want to make sure it's understood that when you're going to get your annual checkup and your screenings with your PCP, this is supposed to be a part of it. The PCP is supposed to look up from the chart and look into your eyes and maybe ask you a couple key questions. Again, what is standard protocol on the primary care level for this kind of thing?
Yeah, it is exactly what you said, right? There are generally 2 screening tests. One is called the PHQ-2, and that basically is a screening test for depression. If you screen positive on those first 2 questions, then it triggers the notion to ask other questions, which is called the PHQ-9. And that's generally how you do it. There's no reason to go through the 9 questions unless you thought. So that is definitely standard of care. I would say, Joel, though, that a lot of things happen between annual wellness visits,
Sure.
Right, to people, and and part of this is our as Highmark Health, we sought to improve the access to our members, and so when we created the our mental well-being solution, we made sure that we partnered with with someone that understood that, right, and that we're going to address the access issues. So that's why we know that national averages are 25 to 30 days to get in to see a therapist or do a telehealth visit. It's long. We know that's even longer for children, and that's just because there's just the need is so high that the availability obviously drops.
And just one real quick question: if someone is in crisis, they should go to the ER, right? I mean.
Yes, they okay. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. I mean, and I can certainly, Amy, I can certainly talk about crisis management too.
Yeah.
The idea is, though, that when we created our mental well-being solution, we wanted to make sure that you can get in when you needed it, and so it's less than 5 days, right, that you can get in to talk to somebody. And that's pretty remarkable based on those national averages. And what we're seeing in our population of patients is that average is about 1.3 days. Wow. And then we're actually measuring outcomes. So that PHQ-9 score that I described, that's being asked at every visit, and we're actually seeing improvements of those numbers actually get better, right? And so we know that the therapy visits are actually improving. And then you described, 4 out of 5 people, have not ever seeked behavioral health services until we brought this up, right? And once we kind of stood this up, we're seeing about that 80% of people that had never sought behavioral health services before are now actually seeking it. And that's an important factor for the stigma piece, right? Because we think that was an access issue, that they didn't, they maybe wanted to, but they weren't sure how to get there. They didn't want to wait. And now that this became easier, they're more likely to use it. And so we're very pleased with the clinical outcomes that we're seeing. We're actually making patients better. And they also have a crisis management program. And they're able to actually ask those questions and intervene at that time. And what we're finding is that if somebody is starting to go into crisis, our program actually helps mitigate some of that. But to your point, if somebody's in crisis and it's you don't want to stop and you want to pass go.
Amy, talk about the modalities, because let's get our arms around what exactly is included in the mental well-being program. Are we talking about group therapy? Are we talking about telehealth? What are some of the things?
Yeah, sure. So there's health coach. So you can have a health coach, just coach navigation to sort of figure out where you need to go, what you need to do. There are modules, self-modules you can do, work on your own. And then there's therapy, both virtual and in-person therapy. And I think calling out that virtual opportunity, right? So I need someone, I'm feeling stressed. I can do it at work. I could take a break. I could do it at home, thinking about mom's stressed during the holidays, dad's stressed during the holidays. I don't have to find a babysitter to go to a doctor's appointment. I just need to find a corner for 15, 20 minutes to be able to talk to someone. So I think those modalities are great because you can sort of pick and choose what you need, and then you can escalate it as high as you need to as well.
As far as like who's monitoring the nature of any pharmaceuticals and dosage and so on, where is that coming from?
Our program has licensed physicians who are psychiatrists with prescribing authority.
Okay.
And what that basically means, Joel, is that it's no different than having your family practice physician prescribing a medication, or a psychiatrist that you see prescribe a medication. Those providers are providers and physicians and therapists, and they're able to do that without any problem. And I think just to add to Amy's comment, I think one of the things that we haven't talked about is the effect around the holidays with kids and adolescents and the stress that they go through, and trying to get into adolescent or child psychologist is again, it's 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
So the ability to get into a therapist for kids and adolescents who are struggling in their everyday, being a teenager or not, right? How do I survive? And what am I going to do? I have to go here and I have to go there. I think there's just another opportunity for them as well. And I think it's a good thing for parents to be aware of and be vigilant for the kids that might be struggling. And there's an access point for somebody to talk to as well. And I think that's a key piece of our program that I think is just open for that population of patients too.
Now, is the AHN St. Vincent Behavioral Health Unit a partner with what the mental well-being program through Highmark is? I mean, you guys kind of seamless that way, or how does that work?
Yes, and I think it goes back to that access. So, St. Vincent's, AHN, we have behavioral health services available, right? I would say this opportunity is for, if it takes, again, everybody, all the clinicians are stressed, but if it takes, 2 weeks to get in, but somebody needs care more immediately, this is the outlet to actually do that, right? That's how I would think about it.
Gotcha. What else would be helpful for our listeners to know about the mental well-being program here?
I mean, I think we hit on it. I think it's the improved outcomes, right? I think Aimee said very nicely, like you don't have to see a therapist, right? Sometimes you just need some content, and you want to do that on your own. How do I handle, everyday life and stress? That's available. I think the key pieces are ages 6 and up, both not only therapy, but prescription therapy as well for adolescents and kids. I think the crisis management, I think the time to get in to see somebody, all of those pieces are really us trying to help solve a very large problem across the U.S.
And Aimee,
what about this?
The right on the my Highmark app or on the Highmark website, you can get access to this. Tell us where that might be at. Are you just kind of searching for behavioral? What do you?
Yeah, so if you search under highmark.com and you look up for resources, you can find the mental health, anything, even if you're not a Highmark member, not for a mental well-being solution, but other resources related to other content, ways to handle stress, et cetera, on there as well.
Terrific. I got 30 seconds. Again, what do you think is going to be your favorite moment of Thanksgiving tomorrow, Dr. Singh?
Joe, I'm a Cowboys fan. It's a dirty secret, and I live in a household of Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
Oh my God!
So Thursdays are always this year's been really rough for me.
Yes,
being a Cowboys fan.
How about you, Aimee?
Yeah, so I'm a vegetarian, so it'll be the stuffing. That's going to be I'm waiting for the stuffing. I'm excited about the stuffing.
You're bypassing the bird.
I'm not eating mashed potatoes. I don't want to talk about those.
You don't want to talk about this.
PTSD from the mashed potatoes.
That's fantastic. Well, we appreciate it. Dr. Anil Singh, the Senior Vice President, Executive Medical Director, Population and Curated Health for Highmark Health, and Aimee Girod, the Vice President, Clinical Strategy and Performance for Highmark. Thank you, folks, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming on and sharing your expertise.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.